you nowhere. If only I could be taller. My aim is impeccable. To me, fun is all that matters.
Killing spree! Monster kill! Double kill! Double kill! Legendary! Double kill! Mega kill! Executed! Double kill!
If only I could be taller.
Legendary!
Download for free Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys are ready because we are about to begin the very first match of today, and you are watching the FSL for Mobile Legends Bang Bang, and this is the Myanmar tournament. Remember, this is a one-off tournament. It will not lead to the circuit. If you want more information about the FSL circuit and when it can begin amidst all of this COVID situation, crisis, whatever you may put it, you can head on down to FSL on our Facebook page or our Instagram, and that's where we release news as soon as possible, and when the correct authorities or situation allows us to begin with. Looks like the teams have already gone in the draft, so let's just jump straight into our first game. Remember, this is going to be a best of 3 series between Reborn and Pixies, and this is the third place match. Both teams are already guaranteed 1,000 eyes. That is the prize for both the third place as well as the fourth place, and then in second place they will get 2,000 diamonds, and in first place the grand finalists or the grand champions will walk away with 4,000 diamonds. That's the grand prize. But for now, let's take a look at the draft between Reborn and Pixies. We're gonna start with Reborn on the blue side. They ban out Claude as well as the Diggy, and then they pick up the Axbog, and then on the Pixies side they ban out the Selena and the Cicilon. Cicilon has a very high win rate. If you look over to yesterday's game, I think it's about 80%, give or take. We saw a couple of games, like I think like 4 to 5 games of Cicilon, and I think I only remember one game where the Cicilon lost, and that was because of a reversal. I'm not sure which game that is. Remember, if you want to catch up all the other games that have taken place yesterday, as well as the day before yesterday, those were the round of 16, as the round of 8, which is the quarterfinals, as well as the semis. You can check out all the VODs on our Facebook page. But looks like we're gonna be picking out the Valor as well as the Uranus. I like that combo. Valor's really good slow, even though Flame Shot has already been nerfed. I would say it's only the close range that has really been nerfed. 400 damage to 160, so quite a substantial drop in terms of close range damage. And also there is a drop in terms of the magic power bonus. It's about 100% to 40%, so quite a big nerf. In fact, more than half if you take into account the close range mechanics of how play characters like Grog, heroes like Kufra, Uranus. They try to make use of Flame Shot to actually abuse that near range burst that they kind of lacked early game. And looks like they're gonna pick up the Kufra. I like this combo. In Pixies, they're really tanky now. They ban out the Hylos because they don't want Reborn to have that near range, although Atlas is still on the board. But that being said, Pixies already picked up Valor, so if you use that, if you picked up an Atlas, you're just gonna get stunned by Valor, you're gonna get slowed, and it's just I don't think Atlas will be able to close down the distance with a Valor on the side of Pixies. So they ban out the Leomord. Just take out the fighter. We can see that they're really target banning the roles, the best heroes available for the roles. Both sides haven't picked up the MM. I think with Granger still on the board, Reborn should either go for the Granger, or they can also go for 1-1, but 1-1 is super late game, right? And then if you look over the side in Pixies, I think 1-1 would be really tough given that there's a Bruno on the other side, so the scaling is definitely going to be a lot harder. If you think about how Pixies can really steamroll this Valor lineup. They want to go full AoE. Wow, okay. So Reborn's pulling on the Minotaur, the first Minotaur we have seen in this tournament series. And they also pick up the Hanabi. I think the Hanabi is really good, given that they pick up the Minotaur. So you can see they want to go for full AoE with the Xbox essentially trying to surprise Impunity Pixies with the last Insanity. And then you have, you know, Minotaur going to Minotaur's Fury, setting it up for the Hanabi. I really do feel that this is a pretty good draft for Reborn. However, that being said, you also have an Ass Murder on the other side on Impunity Pixies, so they are prepared to take a fight up front. I'm not sure about this. I feel like Impunity Pixies have a decent burst, given that they pick up the Krufra, you know, you got the Valor, you got the Ass Murder, you know, heroes that are really in your face kind of heroes, right? Heroes that do really well in team fights if they can set up for Ass Murder. But Reborn just have the bigger team crowd control. You're talking about Minotaur, you got an Xbox there, you got a Lilia, and you got Chang'e, Hanabi, heroes that can deal damage from afar. But it all comes down to how Kagaya on this Minotaur can position itself. If she can catch like a maybe a 3 to 4 man stun on the side of Impunity Pixies, and that's a really good setup, because you know then Hanabi can go with her ultimate. She's freed up to do whatever damage she needs to be dealing, and doesn't really have to worry about getting caught out. And I would assume that Hanabi would be staying pretty far back just to make sure that no one can really get to her, because that's essentially the kind of setup that they have for the Hanabi, right? For the MM, the idea behind it is for them to drop, or rather try to drop ultimate onto at least the tank, or rather Krufra, isolate her away, and then they try to bring him down. And now we're gonna see Impunity Pixies start with a little bit of aggression. They're gonna take the red buff. So decent start, and I don't think the Reborn kind of suspects anything at all. The matchup between this Uranus and Hanabi looks really good, and in fact they're going sort of a 1-2-2 with Chang'e as the off laner against the Ass Murder. And I think this is pretty good for, I would say this is a good lane matchup for Impunity Pixies. If they can try to secure this red buff, it would be a good, you know, invasion in the earlier part of the game. You got Valor already stunning out the Minotaur with the fireball shots. I don't think they should be able to get him. So the fireball explosions, not good enough to pick up a Minotaur Q, but still at least they secure the red buff. Meanwhile, top lane Chang'e in a little bit of trouble. So once again getting spotted by Ying Ying on this Krufra. They get the first blood with the Valor burst. Obviously they used the flame shot as well. Kido gonna be holding up the top lane with Velvet for the meantime, while they wait for the Minotaur to come back to lane. And this early game potential coming from MP Pixies, it's really been capitalized to the highest level. You can see they're trying to pressure the opposite lanes, especially the Uranus. It's always good because Hanabi tries to go back, and Gugu's just gonna go there right within range. They should be able to get this. A little bit unfortunate there. Good ultimate coming up from Aphrodite to catch the Uranus in a really bad spot. In fact, I would say the Uranus kind of went in a little bit too deep, dived a little bit too aggressively there, got caught in a bad spot. And in general, I think as long as Uranus can hold the bot lane by herself, I think good into a really good position to just pressure. There's really nothing much that both the Uranus, or rather the Xbox as well as the Hanabi, can do anything to Uranus. Maybe just hold the lane, but you can see that even though they're going 2v1, they're still allowing the Uranus to do slight damage to the tower. So that's just where I think the mismatch for the bottom side will be for Reborn. But if they can hold on to the late game, I'm sure that the Hanabi can catch up in farm, Hanabi would definitely become really strong.
Initiate retreat! Request backup! Turtle resurrecting soon. Request backup! Turtle resurrecting soon. Lord resurrecting soon.
Alright, so we're finally back. I kind of just realized that my voice was off stream for so long, but it's okay. We are finally back with that voice. So I was trying to emphasize during downtime that you know, Impunity Pixies are doing a really good job at pressuring that early game, and that's because if you look over to the side of Reborn, they really need to get the Hanabi up to speed. If they can get Hanabi into the late game, then yes, they do stand a chance by using the Minoru's Fury as well as the Hanaga. Excuse me, Higambana to actually set up for a really huge wombo combo. But on the side of Pixies, you can see that they do respect the threat of that late game Hanabi as well as the threat of the wombo combo, given that Reborn have a lot of AoE skills. You know, you've got the magic shot coming from Lydia, you have the meteor shower coming in from Chang'e, so they're trying to rush the issue right now, and they're making their way towards tier 3s. Xbox gonna use the last insanity, followed by the Minoru's Fury onto the back line. They do burn one immortality charge, but Nora now just wrecking havoc onto the back lines. They get 2 kills onto the Minotaur as well as the Xbox. And they're gonna make their way onto the top side. No tier 3 taken down the mid lane, but at least they did some decent damage onto the turret. Good also starting to work on the tier 3 on the bottom. I'm sure they should get this mid tower even without the help of the Bruno. And you can see Impunity Pixies just keeping their focus on objectives. And now they're 10k in front, even though the kill score doesn't really suggest that difference. You know, 3 to 4 seems like a pretty even match. But look at the amount of objectives they've taken. There are 7 towers taken by the side of Impunity Pixies, and then Reborn with none. And this kind of shows the focus of Impunity Pixies. They know their priority, they know the win conditions. Let's not allow the Hanabi to get to the late game. Let's not be too afraid of their wombo combo. We force the objectives. And I'm not sure if you guys kind of noticed, but earlier in the game when Xbox and Hanabi were at the bottom lane, it was kind of a 1-2-2. Xbox did not buy the mask, so that means Hanabi was kind of sharing EXP as well as gold with the Xbox, and that kind of delays Hanabi's growth, especially in the earlier part of the game. And furthermore, she actually went for Berserker Furies first, so Herphrodite definitely did struggle a little bit with the early game damage. She's gonna farm a lot slower as compared to the Bruno. Although she's got her Scarlet Phantom now, it really comes down to whether or not Kagaya can position herself in a good spot to land that Minoru's Fury combo to set up for the ultimate for the rest of her teammates. And now you got Last Insanity on standby. They did manage to bring down the Lilia. And now Ying gonna jump in with the Tyrant's Madness. Esmeralda jumping in with the ultimate as well. Last Insanity being used, but it's not enough. Kagaya is gonna be the next one to fall. And Velvet is the only one, or rather Herphrodite and Velvet is the only one standing in between their way. But look at that, Zin and Ruby so focused on the throne, and they're gonna get the base. That's gonna be your first game going to Impunity Pixies. I gotta say, it wasn't really the biggest surprise right there. If you kind of looked at what Impunity Pixies had on the draft, it was really early game, right? You had a Bruno, a Valor, Uranus, Kufra, heroes that don't really need much item to do a ton of damage, especially for Valor with a Flame Shot. If you look at Flame Shot mechanics, they kind of nerfed the near range damage from 400 to 160, but it says nothing about that long range. So Valor definitely still receiving the full impact of the scaling. And I do like the fact that Uranus was able to handle, or rather Good in general, was able to handle that long range all by herself. Like that 1v2 down the bot lane where Hanabi and Xbox were just desperately trying to stop Uranus from pushing. It was still a really good performance from Good. And you can see that And a lot of cases, Impunity Pixies was just doing such a good job at lane management, right? They had really good lane matchup at the top lane. You had the Esmeralda against the Chang'e. Chang'e can't really do much against the Esmeralda, and every time the Chang'e wants to get close to get those last hits, Esmeralda is just gonna be pressuring her with her skills, trying to close the distance down, and that's always that threat of the Valor as well as the Crewfire. They can pop out from anywhere, they have long range initiations, they have huge CCs, they have huge bursts of damage, so I think that's where the threat of Impunity Pixies is to Reborn. I really think it comes down to the draft. Yes, Reborn did have the better crowd control, they have the better wombo combos, but if you can't carry that into the late game, if the Hanabi doesn't really have damage, then even if you set up a lot of stuns, you're not really killing the opposite side. And they have absolutely no answer to the Esmeralda. And although Velvet did manage to pick up the NOD at the later stage of the game, it was just a little bit too late. By the time she got the NOD, you've already lost your tier 3s. You know, you don't really have much carry on, or rather much carry potential on the Hanabi, because the Hanabi and the Xbox were sharing lane EXP as well as go throughout the entire game. So we'll go for a short 2 minutes break, but when we're back, we'll bring you game 2 between Reborn and Impunity Pixies.
Blessed ancestor! I was saved by a Valkyrie! I guess this day ain't so bad after all!
We can't let Aurora Hart lose control.
Aye, aye, ma'am! At last, Aurora Hart is mine! Captain Bane, reign supreme!
Bane must be stopped. For our homeland, our ancestors, and the living, we will not stop fighting the evil. I am the daughter of Northern Vale, and I swear to protect it till my last breath.
Alright, and welcome back. It looks like our teams are already ready, so let's just jump straight into the drafting screen. And remember, this is a best of 3 for the third place matchup, and we're gonna have Impunity Pixies against Reborn. Oops, I actually spilled my drink, but that's fine. At least it wasn't on the screen. We've got a matchup between a Selena band as well as a Sister band, so very standard bands throughout for Impunity Pixies, while Reborn is going for that Diggy as well as the Claude band. And I gotta say, I do like this draft coming up for Impunity Pixies, right? They have this very early game concept of the drafting, and if you went to game 1, I think Reborn had too much, I wouldn't say greediness, but they were definitely a very ambitious per se in terms of the draft, you know, picking up the Hanabi but not going for the mask on the Xbox to try to buy some time, which I felt like was the key deciding factor for Impunity Pixies. They were a little bit lucky that there was a slight mistake in Reborn's itemization, especially for the Xbox. So this time around, they're gonna go for a similar draft, but maybe just a difference because they still pick up the Chang'e as well as the Xbox, so they definitely do have faith in these two heroes. And remember, the pricing for the 3rd place as well as the 4th place are the same. Both teams will walk away with, I believe it's 1,000 diamonds each, and then 2nd place they will walk away with 2,000 diamonds, and 1st place obviously 4,000 diamonds. So I'm excited for that. We got a Kimi getting picked up. That's something that's going to be definitely a lot different. I think it's more suitable given the way that they want to play for Reborn. If they want to go that 1-1-2-2 route, it definitely does work a lot better than the Hanabi. And at the same time, Kimi is a really early game marksman as compared to Hanabi. She doesn't really need much farm. She's got superior range compared to even if you compare it to the Bruno, she's better in terms of early game engagement. She can scale with magic as well as the physical, so it's kind of hard for a tank to kind of build defense against a Kimi because she has both of that arsenal in her kit. And Reborn's also going to ban on the Bruno, so they do recognize the early game threat from the Bruno. The next best MM that's available to Imperial Pixies, given that Claude is banned out as well, it's either the carry or the Granger. It's either one of these two heroes, and I think Granger would definitely be a lot more suitable to Imperial Pixies. Kind of similar to Bruno, doesn't really much item, you know, can engage in the early game, and obviously does well in terms of farming. So we got Pixies. They decided to go for the carry, which I think that's fine. Carry is still not too bad of a pick. It's quite similar to the Granger, and obviously Reborn's got something to deal with the carry. They do have a Balearic, which means if the carry wants to lay damage on either the Xbox or Balearic, she has to be a little bit cautious of the ultimate potential from Balearic, because if she gets caught in place, then it becomes quite an issue for the side of Reborn. So in Impurity Pixies, I like this draft coming in from them because it's early game, you know, they got a carry, they got a little one, but Reborn definitely do have a lot more early game threat if you think about it. Other than the Valor, I don't think they have too much to worry about. Yes, there's a Uranus, but I really do think they can deal with her if they have the right matchup.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed! Initiate retreat!
So let's begin, and once again, Impurity Pixies, they are going for the invade like they did in the previous game. A little bit of harassment in the jungle, they will secure it. Though I think it actually went to Heraldite, so good re-engagement coming from Reborn. At least they managed to take the red buff away. Meanwhile, bot lane, Velvet's gonna go up against this Leomord, and as long as Nora does manage to avoid getting hit by the Spear of Honor, I don't think there should be any issue. And you know, I think it shouldn't be a problem for this Leomord down in the bot lane. She definitely does have a lot of I would say range poke, so not really too much for Nora to worry in the bottom side. Meanwhile, top lane you got Uranus up against the Kimi and Xbox combo. Once again, Xbox not building that much, so Kimi is definitely gonna have to find farm one way or another, or if they can hold into the late game, then yes, this gamble will kind of pay off. Meanwhile, you've got Ying jumping in with the Tyrant's Madness, trying to catch up onto the Valoric. Another poke once again, but Valor with the push, they still secure it with the burn damage. And not only that, Nora will also summon the Steed. A little bit unnecessary, kind of burned the ultimate in my opinion. But they are in the lead, so I think it shouldn't be a problem. 2 minutes in, first blood going to Impunity Pixies. And they also have that 1k goal lead because of the jungle steals from them. Good now, definitely playing a lot more aggressive compared to the first game. And they're doing a good job at, you know, trying to just battle it out against this Kimi lane as well as the Xbox on the top side. Like I said, Good once again doing really well on the Uranus to just cut the waves as much as possible, not allow the Kimi to farm up. And it has even resorted to Reborn putting the Kimi down the bot lane just to try to get some farm. Meanwhile, I've got Impunity Pixies training out in the middle. And Zin as well as the rest of the gang already coming down onto the bot side. Once again, Kido is going to be the 1 to 4. And if they want to, they can even start up the turtle. Without the Beleric, they don't really have a front liner. So I believe that it will go uncontested. Meanwhile, Aphrodite, it looks like she wants to build into the Blade of Despair. And that's quite an ambitious first item to go for. I think going 1 would definitely suit them a lot better because they need that early game potential. Meanwhile, in the middle of them, all Tyrant's Madness already being used. Kido, once again, the third person to fall. In fact, all 3 times it's him. Oh, they get the spear back and Ingin's gonna fall alongside the Baloric as well. Good re-engagement coming up back from Reborn, but they have yet to answer about those lane cutting coming up from Nora as well as the Uranus on the top side. And looks like they're gonna get the tier 1 on the bottom lane. And the sooner or later thing before that top side drops as well. You can see Yami already dropping to half HP. And this 1v1 against the Uranus. She's gonna constantly jump in knowing that she's got the shield to block. And that's going to be a Bloodlust X coming up from Nora. Currently, Impunity Pixies 4k up in terms of goal lead. And over the top side, once again, Impunity Pixies working to find an angle to take that. And Xbox already down to a slither of health. Kido as well. I'm sure if Ruri checks that brush, he might be get himself a double kill, but it looks like Impunity Pixies, they want to focus on the objective. They see Aphrodite going back a little bit late to TP out. And that's going to be easy tier 1 tower on the top side.
Turtle resurrecting soon.
They really do need to depend a lot on Kido's ultimate. They do need that Wrath of Dairat to actually initiate for them and try to catch the teammates of Impunity Pixies off guard. But at this point in time, you can see they do have a really good plan in mind, and they are executing it perfectly. They've not really lost too much. Bot lane once again finding another stray kill onto the Minster. And even down the mid, Gugu's just holding the middle lane 1v4, and that kind of allows Pixies to take up the bottom side. It looks like Impunity Pixies are gonna pull the brake off the pushing train for a bit while they wait for Carry to join up with the rest of them. and obviously she's gonna be taking both the blue and red buff. She's about to complete her endless battle. She's already got a jungle blade up, and if you look at the net worth between the marksmen on both sides, you've got carry already at that 4.8k mark with this creep. Meanwhile, you've got Kimia still at 3k, so that's a really huge difference. And you can really see how Impunity Pixies are prioritizing that hyper carry. I wouldn't say it's a hyper carry because, you know, you still got the Valor that's available to them. You got the Little Mod with the Bloodlust X and the Endless Battle coming up for him as well. So they still prioritize a lot of farm on the Kimi, you know, rather for the carry, giving a lot of that blue and red buff onto her, trying to give her as much space to farm. Whereas if you look on the side of Reborn, you know, I know they pick up the Herphrodite to try to carry that early game, but she's going for greedy items, she's going for BOD, she's sharing the lane with Xbox, which means she's not really getting the most EXP now. Carry's gonna jump right in, you got Xbox using Last Insanity, but she's still gonna go down. That's gonna be a double kill for the carry, and I don't think they should be able to carry on here. Impunity Pixies do not have the creeps to work on the middle lane, so they're just gonna go top side. And with 2 members down on the end of Reborn, I really don't think there's much they can do at this point. But allow Impunity Pixies to take the turtle uncontested. And from here on, it's all about we've seen this go down. We know how the story goes. Impunity Pixies are just gonna start work on the tier 2s, or rather finish up the tier 2 down the middle lane, and then she's probably gonna they're probably gonna start off by taking the Lord in 90 seconds and then pressure the tier 3s. So it's kind of like a deja vu in the first game where, you know, they prioritize a lot of those outer turrets, that tier 1s, the tier 2s, and when the Lord comes up, let's just rotate as 4, allow the Uranus to do what they do best. And now in the middle of the jungle, a little bit of an engagement right there. Xbox gonna pick up the Valor with the Blade, rather with the Last Insanity. King's Landing being summoned by Velvet, but not enough HP to tank out the damage from Ruru. Look at how much damage she's doing to Herphrodite. One more hit and she would have went down. But looks like Kimi's still gonna be up and running. But this allows Impunity Pixies to take up the tier 3 on the top side. Although it looks like Kagaya might have to burn the Meteor Shower. Nope, she doesn't, because Yami's going to use the Last Insanity once again.
Initiate retreat.
So Imperial Pix is just doing a good job at putting in pressure, which was what I was trying to mention before the fight happened in the middle of the lane, where, you know, Imperial Pixies, they know their win conditions, and that is to push the towers as fast as possible. Let's pick up this early game draft with the Valor, with the Kufra, Uranus, heroes that are very independent but at the same time can contribute to team fights when need be. And Imperial Pixies is just making really good use of their rotations. You know, they're taking the top lane, they take team fights whenever there's no objectives on the map to take, and then, you know, let's make our way towards the tier 2s, and let's just rinse and repeat until we reach the tier 3s, and that's where we wait for the Lord to come up. And now another fight going to be happening right here. Valor with the Pale Flames gets 1, gets 2, and Herphrodite might fall as well. Another incident where it's a little bit too close for comfort as Herphrodite nearly falls, but you can see Kido being the main victim of all these engagements. 0 and 6 at this point. Although she does have 3 assists to her name. It has been quite a tough game for Kido. I don't really blame her. If you look at the lineup of Imperial Pixies, they have so many frontal damage. You know, you have got the carry, you've got the Uranus, you've got the Kufra, you've got the Valor. Heroes that do really well against mini tanks. Now Ingi's gonna jump into the backline with the Tyrant's Madness. Yami gonna probably go down as well. And no chance over there. In fact, Kufra's diving the tier 3s. They get the kill onto the Baloric. And with the Lord getting taken up, and they're gonna cut the tier 2 wave in the middle lane. Gugut already making his way down the bottom side. And you can see, even though Kimi's got the BOD, she's not really doing much damage to Gugut, because at this point, Gugut's already got the Blade Armor up. You know, she's got the Oracle Blessing, she's got the Immortality. So she's really tanky at this point. You've got Uranus that looks really scary, and that's not even taking account that you've got a Kufra on the opposing side that has a Curse Helmet, and she's probably gonna go for Queen's Wing. Although I do see that they sold off one of the tier 1 items. Good now, pressuring their tier 3 on the bottom lane. Super minion waves coming into the middle as well as the bot. And Meteor Shower from Kagaya is gonna push them away.
Initiate retreat.
It looks like this is going to be a pretty straightforward push from Impunity Pixies. They don't really have to do too much at this point. Just make sure that they maintain pressure on the tier 3s. You know, every now and then take a team fight whenever it's available to them. And you've already got Leomon that has completed her Blade of Despair. She's probably going to go for Queen's Wing for sustainability. And whereas on the side of Velvet, who's pretty much the offlaner in comparison to, I would say Nora's role in Impunity Pixies, she's got her endless battle, but she doesn't really have a BOD. She's 1.5 items behind that Leomon, and that kind of shows the disparity between these two teams, as well as how much of a gap there is in the draft. At least for these two games, I would say. Impunity Pixies is going to be taking up the jungle, starving out Reborn even more as each minute passes by. Denying the buffs, denying the goal, and as well as freezing up the lanes. And those minions, sooner or later, they're going to make their way into tier 3. As you can see, Impunity Pixies, they're working like clockwork now. Just making sure that they push out the waves, and force Reborn into their bases. Don't allow them to step into the jungle. Don't allow them any sort of farm whatsoever. And even if they do, they are sharing EXP, given that it requires all of them to be in the base at the same time. So they don't really get the maximum amount of farm. And every single time they step out, there's always the threat of getting caught out. And well, speak of the devil, Velvet's gonna go down almost instantly. And that wasn't even the full strength of Impunity Pixies. That was only the 3 of them with the Valor, Kufra, as well as the Leomon. And now Lord gonna come up in 8 seconds.
Lord resurrecting soon.
And almost instantly, Impunity Pixies are gonna start working onto the Lord. Remember, this is an enhanced Lord, so it's definitely going to allow them to take at least 1 or 2 tier 3s if they push correctly. And look at the HP of the towers. I think it's going to push down onto the bot lane. I'm pretty sure of that. And OD going to come up for the Chang'e, but like I said in the first game, is it a case of too late, too little? Because at this point, most of the characters on the side of Impunity Pixies are already full build. All of them have got pretty much 4 items. And it looks like you're gonna see Uranus push out the bottom lane while the rest of the teams are following the super minion waves into the middle. Granger gonna go, or the Krufa gonna go and buy himself, and Inging trapped on the other side of the wall, forced to use the flicker out. Although that did buy a little bit of space for Nora to push onto the top lane. Well, they got the tier 1s over the tier 3s on the top and bottom side, and they can actually go for the GG push if they want to. Lord still at half HP. Krufa gonna stun up Kido. That's gonna be the front line down. Yami down to half HP as well. Already used the last Insanity. Nora's gonna dive in with the Steed, and they're gonna get Velvet. And with 5 members still standing on the side of Impunity Pixies. Well, it spoke a little bit too quickly, and he's gonna fall right there. But Rui's already gonna complete the tower take, and objective is all they have in mind. And that's gonna be Impunity Pixies securing that tier 3 towers as well as the throne. They are your 3rd place team in this Myanmar edition of the FSL MLBB one-off tournament. And like I said, really straightforward coming up in Impunity Pixies, just making sure that, I don't know, objective is the name of the game, you know, just pushing on to the outer towers, and really quick games on both ends as well. Both games ended before the 20-minute mark, so it was really straightforward for them. With that being said, congratulations to Impunity Pixies once again, as well as Reborn. They both will walk away with 1,000 diamonds because they are 3rd and 4th place. But coming up next, it's going to be the main matchup and the main titans of this tournament. You're going to be looking at Tale of Vendetta up against Yagon Galaticos, and that is where I'm really stoked for the matchup. You can look at the brackets right now. Reborn obviously your 3rd place match, that was the match that we saw, and then Impunity Pixies in 3rd, and then Reborn in 4th. But Tale of Vendetta versus Yagon Galaticos, that is the game that all of us are going to keep putting our eyes on, and that is the fight for 1st place, as well as the fight for the 4,000 diamonds on the line. So we'll go for a short break, but when we are back, the best of 5 series between the best of the best in this one-off tournament. I'll see you right after that.
Blast him harder! I'm gonna slaughter that pumpkin Franco myself! Time to look alive, lads! Let's send Bane and his freaks back to the bottom of the sea! I can't bloody My suffering brothers and sisters, you will be free. Blimey, that's a road of heart. Boys, we've got a big booty to take.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys are ready. Welcome back to the FSL MLBB, and this is the Myanmar tournament. We've got a grand finals coming up for you, and you've been watching and following all the way from the day before yesterday as well as to the matches. Thank you very much for sticking around. A big shout out to our official partners and sponsors as well, Dream Call, Super Solid, as well as Yahoo TV for making this possible and fighting for the grand prize of 4,000 diamonds. We are down to our final two teams, Tale of Vendetta as well as Yagon Galaticos, and we are ready in the draw, so let's just jump straight into it. And here we have it, the best two teams of this tournament currently. Remember, it's going to be a best of 5, and we've got Tale of Vendetta going to be on the blue side, and looks like they're going to be picking up, or rather taking out, both the Valor as well as the Claude, and then Yagon Galaticos taking away the Uranus. And among all the patches, or rather the changes in terms of the heroes, I would say I think only Lilia and Claude has seen the, I would say, the biggest difference, if I may put it that way. I mean, there's also a rework on a couple of the other heroes, like, you know, Hanzo had a slight change, and then we also had Camellia changed in terms of the Crimson Flower. You know, the HP restore on each sheet is kind of reduced by just a little bit, so that's also one of the aspect of Camellia getting changed in terms of mechanics. But all in all, most of the heroes are pretty much the same. The only few heroes that I think there are changes are like Diggy, you know, 50 damage reduction in all levels of the auto alarm bomb. Although he's still a hero that packs quite a punch, so still really viable in this meta. But with Valor getting banned out, it looks like Yagon Galaticos, they're gonna take out the Atlas. At the end of the day, Valor is only the true, I would say, true counter to Atlas, given that Valor can slow heroes down. You know, he's got a nasty stun every time he lands the third skills when he reaches the max stack. And also, with the flame shot, he can kind of push Atlas back. So that's kind of the reason why they ban out the Atlas as well as the Valor. You're gonna see the X-Block and the Hylos getting picked up on the side of Yagon Galaticos, and looks like Tale of Vendetta are gonna pick up the Bruno as well as the Grog. So really early game comp coming up from Tale of Vendetta. I like that. I think the only biggest threat they should take out is either the carry or maybe even the Granger if they want to. I think carry would be a better ban, given that carry is really scary towards that near range combo that they have for Tale of Vendetta, especially against the Grog, who's going to be spending most of the time just frontlining for Tale of Vendetta, you know, creating the space needed for Bruno and the Cicelon to find the angle to work their way into team fights. Yagon Galaticos is going to pick up the Lilia. I think banning out a side lane would be good. Yep, so Leomon's going to be banned out. As for Tale of Vendetta, they should be target banning a marksman. Either that or actually take out another fighter. And remember, Sylvana as well as Zaz have been I would say disqualified, but taken out in this tournament, so you won't see any Sylvana, you won't see any Zaz, mainly because of the bugs of Sylvana and as well as Zaz. Although they have been patched this particular patch in 1.4.7, but that being said, we banned it for the first 2 days, so we definitely will not be seeing it for the grand finals. And looks like we're gonna have the Granger ban out for Tale of Vendetta. That's really good. I mean, on Yagon Galaticos side, there's still quite a substantial amount of heroes that's available to them. They can choose to either go for the MM, which should be, I guess they most likely pick up the carry. Carry would really make the most sense for them, given how the draft is centered around. They can go for Hanabi as well, but we have seen how that goes. If Hanabi doesn't go into late game, then she's it's really hard for the Hanabi to carry the team. So I think carry would work better. Tale of Vendetta once again going with the Kagura, which they're really comfortable on, and Nova has been playing a really sick Kagura. Pretty sure CS is going to be playing, they're pretty much in their own heroes per se. Ooh, I don't know. I think either carry, if they want, they can go 1-1, but it's super off meta. And yep, the carry is going to get picked up, and that's going to be Yagon Galaticos draft. They're going to pick up the Xbox, the Hylos, the Lilia, the Chow as well as the carry, whereas on the side of Tail Vendetta, they're going to pick up the Bruno, the Grog, the Kagura, the Cicilon, as well as the Tamus. I really like the Kagura coming out from Tail Vendetta, because you rarely do see players use Kagura as a support mage. I mean, given this current meta, she's one of those heroes where it works really well if you can find a good engagement. So it's always a tale of two ends, right? You're either really good as a Kagura in a team fight, or you just have no damage. That's just the unfortunate case for most Kagura players. And we have seen a couple of good Yin-Yang overturns from Nova from yesterday when they were playing the semi-finals. And I'm sure that she would definitely be hoping to keep that up coming into the grand finals.
Smash them. All troops deployed. Initiate retreat.
So it looks like we're going to see the Kagura alongside the Cicilon in the mid, and that kind of gives them the long range engagement needed on these two majors. And looks like Vendetta wants to contest it. I'm not sure if they will be able to secure it for the side of Vendetta. Yep, they're going to give it over to the Lilia, or rather the carry, as they make their way into the red buff. Chow's going to be standing here just to protect their own blue buff, and that's going to go over to the Lilia. So both the MMs as well as the mage on the side of Yagon Galaticos will have the blue buffs. And obviously carry will pick up a red buff as well. So that's going to be a double stacked MM for at least the first 2 minutes. And we have also witnessed, how scary CS can be as an offlaner. Once she goes into momentum, when she gets the farm up, she becomes really scary. She's also a really independent player on the offlane. Doesn't really need much support of teammates, which is always good to have on your team, because you don't really have to worry about, my offlaner is not really doing really well. Do we have to constantly go down to help her in the lane? So, I'm sure that the other offlaners of the tournament are doing really well, but CS is just exceptionally well, especially on either the Reynas or Tamus. And obviously for all the players that play offlane or warrior roles, you always remember to have a large hero pool, because you don't want to be a one-trick Uranus or one-trick Tamus or one-trick Chow, whatever it is, and when that hero gets banned out, then you don't really have anyone to use. But it looks like both teams are going to be pressuring the opposite lanes. Obviously Yagon Galaticos making work on the tier 1s on the bottom lane, and then you will have Tail Vendetta making work on the top side. And with the help of Carry and the rest of the teams, they will be taking the tier 1 on the bottom side. Same goes, but Grog, wow, that aggression coming from CY. Pretty sure she kind of used the wall charge over there to actually secure the kill onto Shiro. So that definitely does give Vendetta a little bit of a lead in terms of engagement, although Yagon Galaticos already taking that tier 1 in the mid lane. So in terms of rotation, Yagon Galaticos definitely a step ahead of the opponents. They also can go for this blue buff invade again. Sure, Vendetta do not want to give that out. However, K is going to secure it. And as of now, Yagon Galaticos have pretty much the best start available to them. They did manage to get both the tier 1s on the middle and the bot. They've lost first blood, but they did manage to go for both invid, so it's still pretty fair. The only alarming thing about their lanes are that CS is doing really well on the bottom for Vendetta, so that tier 1 might go down when Vendetta do want to make that push on the bottom side. carry already almost completing her endless battle.
Request backup.
Meanwhile, you've got Kiko.
Launch attack.
Currently in the mid lane, and now the next fight should be for Turtle. Younger Galaticos once again objective minded will get the turtle of the game, the first turtle of the game that is.
Initiate retreat.
And Xbox already clearing up the waves on the top side. They should be able to get this tier 1 when the next wave comes in. And looks like Shiro is going to be leaving the task of taking tier 1s to the crypts.
Initiate retreat.
Tama's going to do the same thing on the opposite end. I think Imiko should have used the Way of the Dragon. Maybe that would have saved the tower. But there was also a range creep. And speaking of range creep, there's also a little bit of a slight change, I do believe. And the change is going to be the basic EXP. So standard gang coming down CS. They're going to use the glorious pathway as well to secure the kill. Meanwhile, middle lane Shiro
Initiate retreat.
gonna have support of the rest of Yagon Galaticos. So yeah, the only change of the siege minion coming in the first 2 waves is that the basic EXP is increased by 10%. So that does help the offlaners by a lot, I would say. I want to say a lot. Maybe it does a little bit of exaggeration. I think it's more of just a slight buff for the offlaners, because they're gonna be on the lane all alone. You know, those 2 waves does help quite a bit.
Launch attack.
It looks like Yagon Galaticos want to take this tier 2 on the top side. Decent damage on the top lane. Meanwhile, Vendetta, they want to make quick work of this middle buff. Kiko in a little bit of a trouble. Chow backing off at the very last second. But I'm sure one more stun should be able to do the trick. One more hit. The Ring of Punishment going to allow Panda to pick up
Initiate
the kill onto Kiko. And that's a good rotation coming on Yagon Galaticos as well, because now they're going to be able to secure that second turtle of the game, which kind of puts them roughly about 2k up in terms of net worth. Although Vendetta are not too far behind, with CS just cutting the waves on the bottom lane. If you look at the net worth between the Tamus as well as the Chow, they are not too far apart. In fact, the Chow is up in terms of goal lead because of the 2 turtle takes and the fact that, you know, Yagon Galaticos has been able to constantly take towers away from Vendetta. So that kind of explains why the Chow is above in net worth. And with the HP of the tier 2s already being so low, Yagon Galaticos, and fair play to them, they have been able to avoid, for the most part, you know, team fights that have been unfavorable. Imiko is gonna isolate CS, the Way of the Dragon, gonna kick CS all the way on the backside. He has Incurrent Inferno, but that's just a little bit too many heroes in the way. He's just gonna fall for the second time in a row.
backup. Launch attack.
And that's gonna buy the space needed for Imiko to push on the bottom lane without Atamus opposing her. Meanwhile, fight and the red buff, and K is gonna be able to pick that up. CY forced to use the flicker as Shiro uses her last insanity. And that's just a little bit of isolation work to make sure that Yagon Galaticos can claim that tier 2 bottom, or rather tier 2 tower on the bottom lane for themselves.
Launch attack. Backup.
I think if I'm Vendetta at this point, the most important thing would be try to find a team fight or force Yagon Galaticos into that team fight, and how that is possible would be to contest for the huge objectives like the turtle, like getting the Tamus as well as the Grog to go head first into the turtle pit would have been good, but You can see they're really focusing to get the farm on V at this point, where she hasn't really been able to get the buffs because of all the jungle invasions from Yagon Galaticos, and they're just constantly ahead in terms of objectives, right? You see this rotation coming up from Panda. She's constantly checking the buffs to make sure that it's always up on time, and I'm sure that, you know, both the carrier as well as Mount Monica, they're just, you know, keeping the team updated. You know, okay, my red buff is going down, I think we can invade now. And this has been the case for most part for Yagon Galaticos. Just objectives, the name of the game. Having good results so far. Panda's gonna join once again. CS getting stunned up, not being able to use her ultimate, and she will fall very quickly. Hero's gonna pick up the Athena shield. Pretty standard itemization coming from shield, and even Imiko has completed her Blade of Despair. Meanwhile, Yagon Galaticos once again going for the third invade, but this time around they do secure the blue buff. No, it's going to carry once again, and looks like Yin Yang Overturn will allow them to get the kill onto the Hylos, even though Hero's gonna fall by herself. She's gonna use the last Insanity, so they did manage to get one kill onto Nova, which isn't too bad.
Initiate retreat.
And speaking about Nova, she did go for the Lightning Transient.
Lord resurrecting soon.
You see they're prioritizing a lot of AoE damage coming out. Kiko's gonna do the same. Meanwhile, it looks like Yagon Galaticos should be able to get this tier, or rather this first lot, uncontested. So quite a similar game to what we saw between Reborn and Pixies. Except for this time, Yagon Galaticos are going full blown on objective staking right now. Expert gonna start with Last Insanity, gonna use that flicker to catch up. They managed to get V in a very bad spot, but with that tackle and the help of Nova and Kiko, they do isolate Yagon Galaticos away from the Bruno.
Request backup.
And even CS is trying to do her best to force YG back into defending that tier 2 on the top lane. And obviously Shiro is going to be cutting the wave on the top side, allowing the Lord to push even quicker on the top lane. Okay, now pretty much full build. He's got her lightning belt completed. One more item, and I think Queen's Wing would work really well, although she's gone for a little bit more sustain, I would say. And that tier 1 tower is going to be taken down really soon. Wild charge being used, Last Insanity onto the back line. Carry is going to be able to get a kill onto Tamus. Nova trying to jump right in by herself. She's going to get taken out instantly, and Carry is now popping off. That's going to be a triple kill for the carry. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the tier 3s on the top as well as the bot lane. And not much that Vendetta can do except push and take the objectives, or rather the jungle objectives in the game right now. Because they did lose both the frontliners in Panda and Imiko, and without both the tanks, I would say, there's really not much the Yagon Galaticos can really achieve. Especially in the face of Kiko as well as V, who still have a ton of damage, right? Despite losing that fight, you have to take into account that there was a lot, there was super minions pushing down all 3 waves. So that kind of explains why, TOV had a really bad fight. But in general, if Nova can find a good Yin-Yang Overturn, and given that, Kiko and V, they have really long range assaults, and we saw, Kiko doing really well with the Bad Feast, then I think they can still do a comeback. They need to find the kill onto K. The reason why they kind of got shredded in that fight was because both Monica and K were left alone to do damage. They did manage to bring down Monica with the wild charge as well as the bad fist, but that being said, it's still going to be really hard for them to win a team fight if they do not take the carry down. Well, she was going to dive in by herself, forced to use the flicker on the backside, but V's already taken the Chow out. CS going to be using the Inferno, but not enough to keep herself alive. Nova will go down very shortly after that, and Yagon Galaticos, they can actually go for the GG push if they want to. Still have 4 members up. Monica going to use the black shoes. And Impunity is just going to front line for them, and look at how quickly CV is getting shredded. One more hit from K should do the job. Although CY has immortality. Once again, Vendetta just hanging on to that slither of hope of a comeback. But they do lose all tier 3 towers in their base.
Lord resurrecting soon.
Wind of Nature also coming up for the Bruno. So that's gonna help against the carry, but only for a slight while.
Initiate retreat.
Meanwhile, carry did manage to complete a Demon Hunter sword. So I like the fact that, you know, Kay did prioritize a lot on the attack speed first just to get the procs of her passive. And this is really smart, right? She went for she went for Endless Battle just to get the cooldown off, you know, try to get that attack speed going on. It does give a little bit of sustain. Overall, a very cheap and good item, which is why almost every single offlaner picks that item up nowadays. And then she actually went for the golden staff to further increase the attack speed, and eventually she built into the lightning belt for that pure damage for every attack. And now they're going to siege Last Incendio on the back line. The Glorious Pathway will get laid to get the knockup onto CS, kicking her all the way back with Way of the Dragon. And this is pretty much it. With the Lord's help, they're going to secure that tier, or rather not the tier, but finish off their game and secure that first game in hand. YG looking dominant throughout the first game. And that is going to be it. YG walking away with the first game in hand. And it really came down to YG doing a really good job with managing the invasions, as well as taking a lot of the jungle buffs away from Vendetta. That does add up to quite a bit of a deficit when you look at the goal, the net worth, as well as the, you know, the farm rate of both these MMs on the side. Remember, V and Nova, as well as Kiko, had, you know, most of the game without the buff, just because Yagon Galaticos were constantly invading and giving it over to the carry. You can look at that 14k or the 15k net worth as compared to V, who only had 10k. And it's no surprise that V has the most turret damage as well as the hero damage, alongside Shiro, who constantly trying to find a way to go in with the Last Insanity. So well played to Yagon Galaticos. We'll go for a short break, but when we are back, we'll give you game 2 between Vendetta as well as YG.
Blessed ancestors! I was saved by a Valkyrie! I guess this day ain't so bad after all!
We can't let Aurora Heart lose control.
Aye, aye, ma'am! last. Aurora Heart is mine. Captain Bane reigns supreme.
Bane must be stopped! For our homeland, our ancestors, and the living, we will not stop fighting the evil. I am the daughter of Northern Vale, and I swear to protect it till my last breath.
Well, welcome back to the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang Myanmar tournament. My name's Aris, and big shout out to official partners before we begin game 2. We've got Dreamcore, Super Solid, and Yahoo as official partners, so shout out to them. And shout out for you guys for catching today's stream. The teams are already ready, so let's just jump straight into game 2's draft. And here we have it, the draft of game 2. Yagon Galaticos is going to be on the blue side this time round. They're going to ban out the Atlas and the Uranus. And Vendetta is going to ban out the, I would say, Valor as well as the Cicerone. So pretty similar to draft to what we saw, but it's pretty similar bans to what we saw coming into for game 1. And I like the fact that they pick up the high loss first. Hylos definitely helping Yagon Galaticos a lot in the previous game. And I like the fact that they are very confident with the draft, right? They are willing to give up a lot of the supports like carry. They're willing to give up the Diggy. They gave up a couple of the really meta heroes as well, like the Krufa. And the reason why I think they want to focus on the Hylos getting picked up is because if you look at the way that they play, they want to have that fast pace ability to clear waves and have that very strong frontliner. You know, Hylos, he's really well-rounded. You know, you've got Ring of Punishment, decent damage early game. You've got Glorious Pathway, which really does help the ultimate, and then you helps the team to engage, disengage, catch up to opponents, and even if Vendetta picks up a Leomon, they can catch him out because of the stun. So I think in general, Hylos is just a really good hero to have. Vendetta this time around, they want to pick up the Granger instead of giving it over to Yagon Galaticos, although I'm pretty sure they will pick up a carry if it wasn't banned out. So they do take away the Chow, which is one of the main reasons why Yagon Galaticos was able to walk into the base and try to catch up members of Vendetta. And then you also have a Diggy getting picked up, which is really good. I mean, Diggy does help a lot, but there is the threat that Yagon Galaticos might go rogue I mean, they can just go completely rogue and pick out Esmeralda if they want to, which I don't know. It's possible. It's wacky, but we have seen Impunity Pixies do it. So we'll see how they want to draft. They ban on the Badang, so that's one threat of off-laner getting taken out.
Your team
And it looks like they're gonna pick up the Tamus for themselves. So Tail Vendetta, I think they really want to get the Tamus constantly. They look like they're really comfortable with Tamus, and yes, for the most part, they have been able to pressure the off lane with Tamus getting picked up. But the main issue for Tail Vendetta is the push come of younger Galaticos, right? You have this case where younger Galaticos, they're really good with objectives, their timings are impeccable, and on top of it all, they have this very... They're on the same page of, let's take team fights only when we need to. Let's avoid most of team fights. Let's force Tail Vendetta out of the lane. Let's not give them any sort of a hope of protecting those turrets. And for the most part, they have been able to do that in game 1, which is why we saw, even though the kill volumes were too great, they were still able to take a lot of the towers within the first 10 minutes. And they're gonna pick up the Claude as well, which I can't believe has been left pretty unchecked all the way to the last draft. And for the last one, they're gonna pick up the, I believe that's gonna be the Chang'e getting picked up on the side of Tail Vendetta. So a little bit of a long range, given that they have a lot of melee on the side. You know, Dingy is not really a melee, but you get my point, right? They've only got Tamus as their frontliner, so I think they're gonna pick up just to balance it out a little bit.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
Alright, so it looks like we are going to go for a remake, because we want to make sure that all the players are ready, but we're going to have the same draft, so everything that you see on the screen right now, it's definitely going to be the draft. So we're going to wait for the 3 minutes so that the heroes can kind of surrender, but yeah, pretty much they're going to go for the same picks, they're going to go for the same draft right now, and so we're definitely going to see the same exact heroes getting picked up in game 2. But that's about it. So we'll go for a short break just to get the draft up and running, and when we get game 2 for you guys, then you know we will show the game when it comes back up. We'll go for a short 2 minutes break for the draft to be completed, and when we are back, game 2 between Yagon Galaticos as well as Tail Vendetta.
you nowhere. If only I could be taller. My aim is impeccable. To me, fun is all that matters.
Killing spree! Monster kill! Double kill! Double kill! Legendary! Double kill! Mega kill! Executed! Double kill!
If only I could be taller.
Legendary!
Download for free Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally back with game 2 between Yagon, Galaticos and Vendetta. As you can see on the screen, they pretty much, or rather not they pretty much, but they went for the same draft, and no changes right there. So we finally got the second game officially underway.
Request backup.
I like this coming up from Yagon, Galaticos.
Request backup.
Once again, trying to put pressure, especially with the with Panda at the front. We added the Ring of Punishment at level 1 Imiko using the smart missiles to zone E out. And V is not going to be able to secure that blue buff. It's going to go over to the Claude. And this is an exceptionally good lane for Imiko, because if you look at the draft coming out from Vendetta, they don't really have someone that can match the pace of a Jawhead. She's going to be able to clear the waves really quickly with Ejector as well as the smart missiles, and once she gets the unstoppable force at level 4, then she can start going for ganks, try to go for the back line, and that is where I think Vendetta have to come up with an answer to try to stop the Jawhead for going for either the Granger or the Chang'e. It looks like Yagon Galaticos are already starting work on the tier 1 on the top side. Meanwhile, tier of Vendetta doing pretty much the same thing on the opposite lanes. And looks like Xbox is gonna proxy farm pretty much in between the tier 3s and the tier 2. So Shiro doing a good job at making sure that Vendetta do not get the Tamus to disrupt their proxy farm. And I would say that Vendetta are pretty much doing the same thing, except you do not see that aggressive push coming up from the side of Vendetta. Shiro this time around hitting that level 5 earlier as compared to CS. Gonna be using that last Insanity right onto the Tamus. One more hit should be able to do the trick, and she will get the first blood on the top lane. Good solo kill coming in for Shiro. And I think this is the first time that we see CS have so much trouble on the top side. Yagon Galaticos now, Glorious Pathway getting laid out. Tyrant's Madness will get put, and the Jawhead uses Unstoppable Force to secure the kill onto Kufra. And K is going to be using that Blazing Duet to farm even quicker. They also have the support of Shiro that just came from the top side. And the toughest part of fighting against a Claude is not only the speed at which he or she can farm, but it also you also have to take into account that he has that battle mirror image, which means that he can always jump onto the backline if he needs to. And if you think about it, that's something that's really scary, right? You also have the Art of Thievery, which means Claude kind of just slows you down. He's increased his attack speed by 3.5%. And it also sticks up to 10.5. Now, Last Insanity going to be going onto the backline. Noah dropping really low V. Forced to use Time's Journey to get her team out alive. But she will fall as a sacrifice, as Yagon Galaticos are wreaking havoc in the jungle of Vendetta. Meanwhile, CS trying to do her best as the Tamus to push. And obviously, CY wants to stop Panda from reaching onto the bottom lane. Well, I'm thinking the CS is pretty much dead, because you got Panda that used the Lorn on the stun up. They managed to get K down in time. I'm sure they were gonna give this Q over to the Claude, just to make sure that she gets even more farm each minute. And Panda's gonna be more than happy to soak up those auto alarm bombs for her carry. CY jumps in with the Tyrant's Madness, Meteor Shower as well. They might be able to get Panda here, and can they get more? That is the question that Vendetta are looking to answer. Well, they did decent damage to the middle turret, but they did not manage to do anything other than get the kill onto the Hylos. So not the biggest loss for Yagon Galaticos, knowing that they did manage to get a solo kill onto the Tamus down in the bottom lane. And at this point of time, if you compare the farm between the Claude as well as the Granger, the Claude is currently 1.2k up, which is a significant lead, and Kay is probably going to build up the Demon Hunter Sword as the first item before she goes into probably what I would suspect the golden stuff. Pretty standard build for most Claudes out there.
Turtle resurrecting soon. Launch attack.
CS now once again in a 1v1 against Shiro. And if Shiro can get those stacks up as much as possible into CS, that's gonna do a lot of damage to Tamus. Even if Tamus does have the Corteran Inferno, I still think it's gonna be pretty hard for CS to sustain against an Xbox. Meanwhile, CY looking to charge right in. V is gonna use the reverse time, but V has the back of Glorious Pathway getting laid out as well. Monica with the magic shockwave, and CY nearly goes down there, but Kiko comes out with the Death Sonata just to push Yagon Galaticos back.
Request backup. Initiate retreat.
Meanwhile, Kay and Emiko once again making this game a nightmare for CS.
Initiate retreat.
And Kay opting to not use the Blazing Duet there. Kiko taking a lot of damage from Shiro. Meanwhile, on the opposite lane, you do see Emiko pushing down onto the bottom side.
Request backup.
Meteor Shower onto Shiro, and that's gonna allow them to get the kill on the Xbox. A little bit of overstay from the YG player. And this is what Vendetta have to do. They have to capitalize as much as possible on the greediness on the side of Yagon Galaticos. And now looks like they want to go for a team fight. CY nearly bring him down. Blazing Duet on top of the Glorious Pathway, but no Q there, as Kufra manages to stay slightly out of range. But that does buy the space for Emiko to push on the bottom side. It looks like YG commit to this middle push, and now they're looking to take away the blue buff on the side of Teal Vendetta. Well, nothing much that Vendetta can do except maybe try to push on the top side, but Shiro is immediately there, always checking out, and the last Insanity just gonna instantly blow up CS. Remember, she has the max stacks up, and that Xbox is starting to be quite problematic for the side of Vendetta to deal with. And the issue for Vendetta is that they do not have the flexibility of Yagon Galaticos to catch up to farm. Look at that. CY is going in, but where is the follow-up? There it is. Meteor Shower again laid upon, but Shiro's just so thanky. She's going to stand in front of all of them. The last Insanity going to pick him up. Shiro's going to get a double kill onto the Granger. And now going to go back off. And like I said, it's a pure raw pace of Yagon Galaticos that is starving out Vendetta by so much, by such a huge margin, right? They're getting all these towers, and when it comes to team fight, if you think about it, you know, Panda can drop the Glorious Pathway to try to get her teammates to catch up to her when she wants to engage. Whereas if you look at the Kufra, yes, she does have the Tyrant's Revenge to jump in, but whenever CY engages, she has to wait for the rest of the teammates because the teammates are not as mobile as her. They don't really have as much gap closer to catch up to the Kufra, and so even if she has Tyrant's Rage, for most of the time that the members of Yagon Galaticos are getting stunned up, though that time is being used for the rest of Vendetta to catch up to the Kufra. It's not an engagement, it's more of just buying time for them to catch up. And once the stun comes off cooldown, then Yagon Galaticos is just gonna fight back. They just have the raw damage to fight back. Right, you got an Xbox, you have a jaw hit, you have a high loss that can soak up all the damage dealt, and then, you know, once all the CCs are being used by Vendetta, all that's left is for Shiro and Kay to just use their ultimates to blow up the backline, which is what's happening to the game right now. You see that Panda just dives right in. Shiro at the end of the glorious pathway to blow up members. They toss CY back, they isolate the Kufra, and they get the easy kill. And now with the Siege Minion, they should be able to get this tier 2 in the middle lane. Ice Dominance being picked up by Panda. And that's gonna help with slowing down the attack speed as well as the movement speed of the Tamus and the Granger. Well, V's trying to build into the Ice Queen one. She's got her fleeting time completed, but for the most part, I mean, her ultimate is just used to try to keep 1 or 2 members alive. They constantly have to sacrifice 1 member for the rest to get away. And whereas if you look over to the side, Yagon and Galaticos, they have been able to keep most of their members alive for majority of these team fights.
Initiate retreat.
Shiro just gonna be making sure that those waves get constantly pushed out. Imiko doing the same thing at the bottom lane. Like I said, the smart missiles and injector does allow her to quickly push those lanes, and smart missiles has a really low cooldown, so that does allow her to just constantly push every single time it's on cooldown. Younger Galaticos now gonna be able to secure that tier 3 in the middle lane. Shiro in the middle of all of them, gonna jump in with the last Insanity. They do not have the tier 3 yet, but they have managed to get the Krufa off the board. Another super minion wave coming in on the bottom lane. And Imiko, Law and Order getting used to stun up CS, and look at the backline. Digis nearly going down. Claude using that, but Claude's gone down, so that does buy a little bit of time. But you can see YG, they don't really need the Claude there. There's just so much raw damage coming out from Shiro as well as the Ring of Punishment. Imiko once again getting the ejector to toss the Tamus out of the base and securing their kill. And for this entirety, they do not have the Claude, but they should be able to secure game 2 here. GG to both teams, but YG now 2 foot, or rather 1 foot in, as the grand champions of this tournament. And what can I say? YG is just constantly piling so much pressure in the lanes and or rather the off lanes in particular, to just try to pressure Vendetta into bad rotations. You can see Vendetta just has no way to try to catch up to the speed that YG can put. Remember I mentioned about, you know, if you look at the difference between the Hylos and the Kufra, Hylos is just so much more kit available to allow her team to catch up to her, and that's what Panda has been doing for most of the games, which is trying to get the members of a team to join her in the team fight, whereas CY has the initiation with the Tyrant's Rage, but she doesn't have anything else other than the Tyrant's Rage to stun up the opponents, to wait for a team to catch up to her when she's initiating with Tyrant's Revenge. So that's just one of the reasons why most of the team fights you see CY jumping in and then dying even before any team fight has really occurred. So with that being said, congratulations to the side of Younger Galaticos. They walk away with game 2 in hand. Remember, this is a best of 5, so YG still needs one more game. Will we see a reverse sweep coming from Vendetta? We'll have to find out right after the commercial break.
Download for free. Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Well, welcome back to what might be the final matchup between Tail of Vendetta and Yagon Galaticos. If Tail of Vendetta wanna hope to win the game, or rather win the 4,000 eyes, that's a lot of eyes for the winners of the tournament, they will have to complete what is known as a reverse sweep over onto Yagon Galaticos. But for now, Yagon Galaticos need one more game to cement themselves as the grand champions of the FSL MLBB Myanmar tournament. And now we are going into game 3, and they're gonna pick up the Sicilon as well as the Xbox. So far it's pretty much the same draft, although Vendetta do ban out the Grok as compared to I do believe we haven't seen too much of a difference. I'm not sure why Zas is there. Okay, so just update why I'm so confused, because Zas and Sylvana are not supposed to be picked up. They are automatically banned for the tournament because at the start, for those who have been playing ML, you do know that Sylvana has a bug where, you know, if you use your ultimate and you use your flame shot, you can actually stun a member for like a couple of seconds, which is why, you know, we kind of took her out of the draft. So because it has been, I think it's been fixed in yesterday's update, but because we banned it on the first day of the tournament, we can't allow the rest of the players to use it. So that's the reason why Sylvana was banned out. But that being said, Tail of Vendetta, they pick up the Lunox. So for the first time, we will see a Lunox getting picked up in the grand finals. We did see one during the qualifiers, and I think it was also used by Vendetta. And Yagon Galaticos is going to be picking up the Krufa for themselves. So this time around, a little bit of a swap. And I like this smart draft cover of Vendetta. They know that Yagon Galaticos are very, very comfortable on the Hylos, and so they pick up the Hylos for themselves. And I think it's a pretty smart draft. Like, you know, you don't really want to give. Not only do you deny them such a strong hero, but you can pick it up for yourself. The question is, will they ban out? Will they take the jaw hit? Because they ban out the Claude, so that's two heroes that they had a lot of issue with coming into the first and the second game, and they decide to go for the Angela, which I think is
Your team
pretty
is picking
decent. I think Angela is one of those heroes where it's still really viable if you know how to use her properly, because she's kind of a iffy hero if you don't really put her in a good position, right? She's not really a tanker, you know. She's got really good support with the hard guard. She's got Puppet on the string, which is a pretty decent CC. But in general, what you need for her is to go onto the Lunox or the Tamus while they dive onto the backline. And that's essentially the reason why they kind of pick up the Angela. They also pick up the Roger as the MM, but that does open up the carry to Yagon Galaticos. And yes, indeed, they will pick her up. And I think between the Roger and the carry, I feel like Roger does pack quite a bit of a punch, because you know he has the light compounds, he has the bloodthirsty howl, which is something that's really scary to fight against a full slotted Roger. He can pretty much one-shot any MM in the game. The question is, will Yagon Galaticos allow them to reach the late game, because that is where the true damage of Roger comes up. If Roger can't really go into the late game, then that might be a bit of an issue for Vendetta. It is I wouldn't say it's a greedy draft, but it is a draft that needs a lot of farm, especially in the Tamus. You look at the Lunox, you look at the Roger, you know, you need a lot of farm on, especially on the Tamus as well to Roger. That being said, they have the Hylos on their end, so that might be able to buy some time. Yagon Galaticos on the other side, they do pick up the carry. You know, once she gets an endless battle, she's good to go. Then she can build into what I would say. I think given that we saw what K built in the first game, I'm sure that she's gonna build into probably the Golden Star first, and then the Lightning Belt, and then eventually completing the Demon Hunter Sword. But like I said, both builds are really, both MMs will be looking to go into the game as quick as possible. Quite similar to Hyper Carry at this point. Although we do see both majors now pick up the mask. I mean, obviously, given that they kind of fixed up the mask, you know, you no longer get that extra EXP and go. I like that Yagon Galaticos now know that they can't really invade, because they know that Vendetta do have the Hylos, so it's gonna be a lot harder as compared to invading a Kufra. So they play a little bit passive. They try to just take their own buff. I would have loved to see Vendetta invade, because you know they do have a Lunox and a Hylos, and they also have an Angela, so they do have to sustain because of the sorry, the love waves that the Angela can put out. I tricked up a little bit there, but yeah. I felt like they could have definitely put up a lot more aggression in the early game. We're gonna see Panda put a little bit of harassment. Gonna jump right in and stun up CY. Might just go down right here. They do get the first blood onto Monica. And good engagement coming up from Vendetta, and now they can also look to pressure the top side. Meanwhile, Roger's left to deal with the Xbox all by her own. And this is pretty good. I mean, Roger can do pretty well against the Xbox. I mean, she might not be able to take down an Xbox, but at least, you know, she's able to farm up by herself. So that does even things up a little bit for the side of Vendetta. She's definitely going for the Endless Battle as first item. She's gonna for mana boots just so that she can spam a little bit more of those light compounds. Ibiko going a little bit aggressive on the top side. Way of the Dragon being used. He is just acknowledging that with a thumbs up.
Initiate retreat. Turtle resurrecting soon. Initiate retreat.
And they're even gonna use the hard guard just to try to keep the Tamus alive for now. Okay. Looking to start the turtle, but looks like they want to clear up the top, the middle wave first. obviously they're gonna take up the blue buff for Monica. Or will they give it to K? Yes, they will.
Initiate retreat.
TOV. Gonna be clearing up the turtle. I like this rotation coming on TOV, but can they secure the turtle away? Yes, they can. With the Chaos Assault shot coming up from V. They might even get the kill onto Imiko. YG definitely not doing too well, but for Vendetta, it's a complete different tale compared to the first two games. Look at what you can do when you get a high loss. It's always nice to know that you have that ring of punishment. You know, you have a stun. It's just such a strong tank to have in this meta. CY gonna stun up Panda while V gonna use the light brilliance of the light.
Killing spree.
Trying to get a kill, but CY will go down to K right there. Overstayed for too long. Meanwhile, bottom middle lane Shiro did manage to secure the middle tower, and I'm sure CY will take quite a bit of damage, but she's still alive. And V is able to rotate down to get one more kill onto the Axe block. Well, all of this still working in the plans of Vendetta. Not only are they getting objectives across the map, they are able to buy time for Kiko to actually farm up on the Roger, and maybe it's a case of the Caster's Curse because they did manage to get the kill, especially the flame shot coming up from Monica, and K just gonna use the flicker to secure that kill onto the Roger.
Initiate retreat.
Glowing Wand gonna come up on the carry, or rather on the Lunox right now. Meanwhile, middle lane Panda once again might go down to the Chaos Assault shots. One more hit should do the trick. And you can see that, you know, with the pickup of the Angel and Hylos, they really do want to protect this Lunox. And it does give her a little bit of that license to dive towers. Gonna use Order of the Brilliance to do some damage onto K. Ulti on cooldown, can't really do too much damage. One more hit should do the trick. Oh, so close. But they should be able to get it with the next push. Meanwhile, Imiko making use of the passive to do that extra damage on tower.
Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat.
Meanwhile, you got Yagon Galaticos now rotating down onto the mid lane. I think the way that YG should try to come back from this is hold off enough time for K to farm up. I mean, they are behind by 2k, but compared to the first two games, they were so far ahead. So it isn't really the worst case scenario for them here. But they do need to keep their opponents in check. If TOV goes off a little bit too late, well, Tyrant's Rage coming in, and they do manage to stun up everyone. Way of the Dragon right onto Imiko, but you do see V being able to use Order of the Brilliance just in time, and they turn this fight around. They do bring K down, and it's Monica who's the last remaining member at the Lord's Pit. They take her down as well, and that's a complete win for the side of Tail Vendetta. Well, Shiro's got something to say about that. Try to pick up a solo kill onto CY, and decent damage by Shiro. She's going to do backline damage, but now, not only did she not manage to get the kill, but it's a complete team wipe by the side of Vendetta, who must be feeling pretty good now. Well, you got Kiko completing the Wind Talker, and look at that 1k with the crit. And this is where the Roger just becomes really scary and viable in team fights. Although that being said, carry still poses a threat. So if Vendetta can do what they did in the last fight, which is, you know, really get all of them together, and I gotta say V was a little bit fortunate. If she got taken out earlier in team fights, I think the fight would not have went the way of Vendetta, but even with Way of the Dragon, even with so much CCs onto the Lunox, she still managed to get her Order of the Brilliance out in time, and that was thanks to, you know, the Hard Guard coming out from Nova just in time to give that barrier and keep the Lunox alive, or rather alive long enough to pull out her ultimate.
Request backup.
Immortality getting picked up by Shiro, while the rest of Tail Vendetta are pressuring up onto the top side. Bad Feast coming up from Monica, and they do once again get the kill onto the carry. Not only that, they complete on Shiro. Shiro using a little bit too early, and they might be able to get the Tamus down. Although it looks like TOV might have overstayed for a little bit. Monica will get the kill with the Sanguine Claws. And now they're gonna chase Nova off the top lane, while Kiko's just gonna be split push. Well, that is a small win in terms of team fight, but Shiro's gonna go down the top lane, switching it for the kill onto the Hylos. Not exactly sure if that was worth it, but it does give Shiro a little bit of a farm. Although I think the biggest threat for younger Galaticos right now is that Kiko has been left unchecked for far too long at the bottom lane, and now she's gonna build up her endless battle. She's got 1.2k crit. And you can see that when she's in a wolf form, she pretty much hurts for every basic attack. And with the increased movement speed, she's probably going to be rotating a lot quicker among the lanes.
Initiate retreat.
And while Yagon Galaticos still has the threat of the Lust Insanity from the Shiro, from Shiro's Xbox, as well as the big CC from Tyrant's Rage on the Krufa, it is going to be still quite an ordeal for them to find the right engagement. Kiko just waiting for the right time to pounce, and there is the targets coming out right now. He's got K in sight, and Panda's just going to run into Kiko just before she can put the combo off. I would love to see Kiko go a little bit ballsy there to try to get the kill onto the carry. That would have been quite a sight, but you know, safety first. There's no need to rush the issue when you're in the lead. And ooh, a little bit lucky for Impunity to come out. If Siwa had turned on her Ring of Punishment there, that would have stopped Imiko from TPing back to base. It looks like Tail Vendetta are going to stop up with the Lord. CY taking a lot of damage even before the fight occurs. They do manage to bring down the Hylos, and now they have the license to go forward. Kiko jumping onto Shiro. That's not the target that they want. Way of the Dragon right onto the Tamus, but Roger did manage to bring down Imiko, and they're going to trade it out. They bring down Panda as well. Shiro is probably the next one to fall, and Carry in the middle of all, trying to secure the Lord. Oh no, yes, she will get it, but that's going to be sacrificing 4 members there. I felt like if K went for the fight, that would have been so much more productive for younger Galaticos, but hey, at least they got the Lord. But I'm not sure if they can do anything with that. Look at that. Despite winning the Lord fight, Vendetta's just getting so much more out of that. And they're just going to push that down. They're probably going to get the tier 3 on the top lane as well.
Initiate retreat.
But Imiko does just come up in time to stun him up. Hard Guard comes up onto the Tamus to keep himself alive. Or to keep him alive. I like that Vendetta are paying younger Galaticos the respect by backing off, knowing that they can't really achieve much by sticking around. So they're just gonna go back to farming. And at this point, V is pretty much full build. She's probably gonna go for immortality just to keep herself alive for the team fights. That being said, you gotta give. I think Vendetta have to give a lot of thanks to Nova for keeping either the Lunox or the Tamus alive for most of this fight. She's gonna go NOD as well, so that's gonna help even more against the sustain of both the carry as well as the Xbox. Looks like we're gonna see both teams just wait for the next major objective to come up. Vendetta just dropping the aggressiveness by just a little bit. Shiro now gonna spot out the high loss, gonna start up by building those flame stacks onto the opponents.
Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat. Request
And CY is probably gonna build into the antique chorus. I can see that despite Monica not having a lot of farm in this game, she still has a lot of damage through the bad impact as well as the bad fist. So that is still one of the reasons why TOV can't really, or Vendetta can't really just blindly push into tier 3s as compared to what YG had in the previous game, where they could have just walked into the tier 3s, try to force the tower takes with the high loss. And also you got Shiro that has pure damage and max stacks, and this time around they split the fight into two. CY in the middle lane and Panda just handling V and CS on her own, but now they managed to get her up. K does manage to bring the high loss down and V in a really bad spot. CS is going down as well. They only lose Panda in the fight, and YG find themselves suddenly 3-1 ahead. And Shiro's not letting this down as well. Kiko, oh, he might have enough crit. He get the stun up. Kikundo. And the immortality guard goes down. Kiko might go down for the second time. And this is a bad situation for Vendetta, who were playing a little bit too greedy there. CY got caught out in a bad position in the middle of the lane. And YG capitalized on that. Yagon Galaticos taking out the high loss in mid. You've got Shiro holding her own against both the Lunox as well as the Tamus. And obviously we saw Roger coming a little bit too late to the fight, nearly bringing K down, but good reaction coming up from Imiko to use the Chikundo as well as the Shimpu to stun up the Roger. Vendetta still 10k up in terms of goal lead, but can they withstand this push coming up from Monica as well as the rest of Yagon Galaticos? The Lord's just gonna take down the tier 2 pretty easily. But here comes the hard part. They have to defend against this tier 3 push. Well, we can see that the glorious pathway has been laid down, but no real engagement coming out from Vendetta. Monica is just going to use the bat's impact to keep her distance while doing damage from afar. They should be able to get this tier 3 because it's one hit away. And they might even find themselves CY, who's dropping really low. Bat Feast being put and Bat's impact as well. They managed to burn away the high loss, and without the front line, well, YG can go in if they want to. Oh, Panda with the Tyrant's Rage. They pull the Tamus even further back. Imiko goes down, but the Sanguine Claws will clump all of them together. Although Carry is still alive, they might be traded out. Kiko goes down, and they trade both the marksmen out. Shiro's now just buying time for the wave to push onto the top side. And it should be one more hit. And Vendetta lose both the tier 3s on the top and middle lane. All the distraction in the middle just to get tier 3s. This is superb coming out from YG. And with that fight, you can see that is a substantial dip and the goal lead that Vendetta had in prior to getting the Lord fight. And the 10k goal lead that we saw coming out before has now just read down to slightly about 8k. Although at this point, I do feel like the goal lead doesn't really matter anymore, because you can see the damage output still coming through for younger Galaticos. As long as they can clump members of Vendetta up, then Monica can still do damage with the Bat's impact. He's got Bat's Feast. They have Xbox Lust Insanity. They've got the damage of K with the spinning light wheel, and then you also have a lot of just AoE damage output coming out from the mage. That being said, Vendetta still has the threat of the Roger, who can pretty much just one shot onto the Chow or the carry.
Initiate retreat.
I'm pretty sure Imiko should go Twilight Armor here. Panda gonna be running into CS, gonna spot him out. And even Monica's gonna build into a Tina shoe just to soak up a little bit of damage coming up from the Lunox as well as Angela. And once again, CY being caught up in place, the swinging claws, the sanguine claws, just stopping Hylos from moving out of the position. Tier 3s already down on the top and middle lane, and looks like they want to go for this bottom tower. And now Lunox caught in a bad position. Shiro rotating around to flank onto the Lunox. Shiro now forced to use Last Insanity, and will the rest of YG come up? Well, they're gonna sacrifice Panda there. Although she does have the Immortality charge. One more hit for the tower to go down, but they do finally bring down the Kufra. And they trade it for the Lord. Shiro might just go down here. Lunox with the wave. And get 2 more kills once again. The greediness of YG not really paying off.
Shut down. Double kill. Initiate retreat.
Although you see Monica just trying to make use of this lot to front line for her, while she's constantly trying to get a bit of a push. Super minion waves coming in from the middle as well as the top. So that just means that Vendetta can't really do much despite winning the fight. I felt like younger Galaticos could have won that team fight if they had just dropped the Lord and took the fight up front, especially the part where Shiro and Panda bought a lot of time for the team to actually rotate. But that being said, I don't think they lost too much, because they did manage to secure the Lord after all. That does just buy a little bit of time for them to farm up even more. And I think most of the members are already full build. You can see carries already full build, Xbox full build as well. Even I would say even Kufra is nearing to the final item, which should be Immortality. I mean, she's got Immortality up, but I think Ice Dominance would be really good. Because for the most part, you're gonna see Panda stick onto the Roger, and that attack speed reduction will definitely help a lot in a team fight.
Initiate retreat. Launch attack.
Well, but at this point of time, the goal lead doesn't really matter anymore. And it all really comes down to who has the better engagement. CY has to be a little bit careful about her position. She has been caught out for a couple of times now.
Initiate retreat. Initiate retreat.
Meanwhile, YG trying to push onto the bottom lane. And they're slowly but surely chipping off that tier 3 tower at the bottom side of Vendetta's base. CY once again getting stunned up alongside CS with the Sanguine Claws. And look at that, the Bat's impact does hurt quite a bit. Bat Fist now being used, they get the stun up onto CY, and once again the Hylos is the victim. And Kiko now forced to force a team fight, and she will just get instantly blown up. I feel like this is pretty much GG. Ree's probably gonna go down pretty soon, and this is it. YG complete the 3-0, and they are your grand champions of the FSL Mobile Legends Bang Bang Tournament for the Myanmar edition. I mean, what can I say right there? YG is so dominant throughout the first 2 games, and then coming the third one, I think Vendetta put up an absolutely insane team fight. And you know what can I say? It just really comes down to the experience of such a prominent team throughout the competition, not dropping a single game throughout. And then you know they went through, I would say I wouldn't say it's a tough bracket for them, but there were a couple of times where teams did put up a good fight, especially I would say Vendetta in that very final game. You know, they made their way, they managed to knock down members like Deity, they managed to knock down Reborn. And for the side of Yagon Galaticos, they had to go through Burmese Angels, they went through Impunity Pixies, and now here they are standing right at the very top and walking away with 4,000 diamonds. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. 4,000 diamonds for Yagon Galaticos, and also claiming the title of the Myanmar champions for this edition of the FSL MLBB tournament. Congratulations to them, and obviously congratulations to Tail Vendetta as well. They will be walking with 2,000 diamonds. For 3rd and 4th place, Reborn, or rather for Impunity Pixies and Reborn respectively, they will walk away with 1,000 diamonds, so not too shabby from 1st to 4th place. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you very much to all of you guys at home that have been watching the tournament. I had such a fun time casting the event. I hope that you guys follow the circuit news, and we'll try to get them to you as soon as possible. But before I end the stream, thank you very much to all our official partners, Dreamcore, Super Solid, as well as Yahoo TV. Without them, this wouldn't have been possible. My name is Aries, and once again, shout out to Myanmar, as well as all the viewers that have been watching from home. I had fun casting this, and I will see you next time round.
The warm feel of my passion burning! Woohoo! You feel that? Hey, very nice kick! I'm on top of the world!
Killing spree. Mega kill.
You feel that? Ha!
Download for free. Mobile Legends Bang Bang.